So Trey Lance is working out with Patrick Mahomes and Patrick Mahomes' personal passing coach, Jeff Christensen. And videos are starting to surface of Trey Lance throwing in these sessions. And I think we've all watched these videos a lot of times. And I think it's pretty clear that there are certain things that are different about how he's throwing now. Now, you don't get to see his full body when he throws. It's edited. But you can definitely see in these clips, when he releases the ball, his arm is fully extended in front of him, which may not seem like a big deal. It might seem like a small detail, but you can definitely see that. Go and watch the videos. When he releases the ball, his arm is fully extended in front of him. He didn't always used to do this. If you've watched my videos, especially in training camp last year where I would break them down into like slow-mo, frame by frame, you could see that he would often release the ball much closer to his body because his upper body and lower body weren't in sync. I mean, I showed you that. It was clear. When he would throw, you're supposed to throw from a bent back leg to a bent front leg, and then you lock out and straighten your front leg after you release the ball. This is true in baseball. It's true in football. It's true in any sport where you throw something. You throw bent leg to bent leg. You lock out after you release. Trey had a bad habit of locking out his front leg, throwing bent leg to straight leg, locking out his front leg before he released the ball, which means that essentially once he got to here, his front leg is straight, his lower body is done, and the rest of the motion is him just whipping his arm. So that leads to erratic ball placement, arm fatigue, and eventually, if he does it long enough, injury. And frankly, it leads to him not being a success. If he can't fix this, he will fail in the NFL. But from the looks of these few clips, it looks like we can at least say he's working on it, and it looks like he's in the process of fixing it. Now, does that mean he will ingrain this as muscle memory in the next 6 months and he'll play like this in the pocket when he's thinking about, is it cover 3 or cover 2 or man under, whatever? Don't know. But what I will say is that Jalen Hurts had the same issue. And Jalen Hurts fixed this in just a few years in the NFL. Same issue of locking his front leg. Look it up. Google it. Front leg lock, Jalen Hurts. Trent Dilfer pointed out to him. He fixed it in the NFL. Now he was just in the Super Bowl. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Jalen Hurts. The Niners are hoping that Trey Lance can have a similar growth, and it looks like he's taking the right steps. Now, again, doesn't mean that this will become muscle memory, but it does mean that he's doing the right things, and he's with a new coach. This is no one he's worked with before, so maybe the previous coaches had the right idea but didn't have the right communication methods or the right drills or whatever. It looks like this new guy, Jeff Christensen, who's had success with quarterbacks such as Mahomes and Kirk Cousins and Jimmy Garoppolo, might be getting through to Trey Lance. And honestly, if Trey Lance fixes this, if suddenly he's consistently using his lower body, extending out in front, and not having such a violent upper body whip to his throws, he'll be able to complete a much higher percentage of his throws. And frankly, he will be a franchise quarterback. This is the one thing holding him back. He's a hard worker. He's smart. He understands football. He makes good decisions. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's not careless. It's this throwing mechanics thing. And, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But right now, if he does this, if he pulls this off, he's going to be the Niners franchise quarterback, not Brock Purdy. Nothing against Brock Purdy. He's really good too, but not like this. This Trey Lance really does. He was the number 3 pick for a reason. He has the potential to be Jalen Hurts plus. He's bigger than Jalen Hurts. So this is big. Go back and watch the video yourself. Watch where he releases the ball out in front. Throw a ball yourself. Practice throwing from bent leg to bent leg with your arm fully extended and feel what that feels like. That's a throw. If you lock out your front leg early and try to muscle the ball the rest of the way, I wouldn't even call that throwing. I would call that muscling, pushing. And really, if you ever played baseball growing up or football, if you do that, you don't throw the ball as hard as if you actually have a natural whip where everything is in sync. It's a much less violent motion when everything's in sync. When you're pushing the ball with your upper body, it feels like you're grunting. It feels like you're working harder. It feels like you're throwing the ball harder, but you're not. You're just eventually going to injure yourself. So I think it's great that, if I could point it out, if I could find it on my freaking iPhone on the slow motion thing and put it on YouTube and point it out, I'm sure a lot of experts saw it too. And what's important is not discovering this issue, his release point, the extension on his release, the synchronicity of his upper body and lower. That's not the point. The point is Trey buying in. A coach saying to him, hey, man, this is going to make or break your career, this thing right here. Are you willing to remake your throwing motion? And, a lot of 22-year-olds who were the number 3 pick in the draft might say, you know what? Who the hell are you to tell me? I've been doing it this way my whole life. I know what the hell I'm doing. Frankly, remember Colin Kaepernick? When he came on the scene, he started hot. He was older than Trey, like 24, 25. But when he was young, his first couple seasons, people were thinking, man, it's either going to be him or Andrew Luck as like the best quarterbacks of their generation. But then when defenses caught up to Kaepernick a little bit and sort of forced him to be more of a passer, he was good, but he wasn't ever completing 70% of his throws. He didn't have the mechanics. And when pressed about it, he said, I'm not really that big into mechanics. If Trey had that attitude, he would fail because, frankly, his mechanics the last couple of years were a mess. But now in these slow motion videos, they look clean. They look really good. Clearly, he cares about mechanics. And if you get the right coach, you get the right athlete with the right mentality, it's fixable. I think that's why a lot of people wanted the Niners to draft Trey Lance in the first place. They knew that he was a project. The book on him coming out is that he hadn't thrown that much and accuracy was going to be an issue. Well, cool. Thing about I thought the reason they took him over Justin Fields with Justin Fields' issue with him was decision making. He holds on to the ball too long. He runs into sacks. Well, he still does that in the NFL. That carried over. Trey Lance doesn't do any of that. He climbs the pocket. He gets rid of the ball. He just needed to fix his mechanics. And it's like the Niners kind of threw up their hands like, hey, that's not our job. We don't really do that. Kyle is a former wide receiver. Brian Greasy isn't a passing coach. He's just a former professional quarterback who can sort of, tell the players what it's like to be in the league and to deal with the pressure of the position. But he's not necessarily a mechanics guru, but Jeff Christensen is. And I don't know how Trey Lance got to working with him, whether he reached out or Jeff Christensen reached out or Patrick Mahomes reached out, or the Niners worked it out. But whatever it is, it seems like just from the few clips we've seen, the right guy at the right time for Trey Lance. Watch this going forward the rest of the offseason. Trey Lance's release point. Is it out in front? Is it back here? Is it a smooth delivery, or is he pushing the ball because his front leg is locked out too soon? Watch it. That's going to determine whether or not he's the 49ers franchise quarterback or a backup quarterback somewhere else like Blaine Gabbert. Really, that's the range for Trey Lance's career. He could either end up being Jalen Hurts plus or Blaine Gabbert based on this. Do you trust your arm? Can you throw with the proper mechanics every time? Do you trust it? We'll see.